Let's go ahead and quickly move on to the Georgia game. They come from behind to beat Ohio State. Whoop. Cancel. Give me a second. Sorry about that. Again, I'm not at home, ladies and gentlemen. They come from behind to beat Ohio State 42-41 after a missed game-winning field goal by Ohio State. What I mean, let's ask the same question. Obviously, Georgia got the W, so hindsight's 2020, and Georgia's like, hey, we're good. But at the same time, did they overlook Ohio State? Like, what do you think?
I don't know about them necessarily. I mean, I think the first 5 minutes of the game, they were still kind of sleeping, so they might have overlooked them in that sense. But,
yeah,
I mean, Ohio State came ready to play.
Yeah.
And we talked about this. You had a whole month of them sitting there talking about how they were too weak, they're too small, they're going to get destroyed by Georgia, they're going to get out physicaled by Georgia. And, I mean, we also talked about Georgia's one weakness seemed to be Keely Ringo in that secondary, and they exposed that. Yeah. If you don't lose Marvin Harrison after that targeting call in the third quarter, I wonder what the end of this game is like, because Ohio State's offense kind of went flat after losing Marvin Harrison. So, Anthony thinks they overlooked the Buckeyes.
Yeah,
I just think it was – I said to start the year that I thought this was our national championship matchup, because Ohio State, talent-wise, is on the level of the Georgias, the Alabamas, these top tier schools. Absolutely. They've recruited just as well as all those guys. So, I think it was just two evenly matched teams having a very good game. But it was a phenomenal game. Both these games, just as a pure football fan, were phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like, we had those questions of should Ohio State be in, should TCU be in, should Alabama or Tennessee have gotten in. This set up perfectly. These were two very good games, the two closest semifinals we've had. So, I think Georgia earned that gritty win, which seems weird saying a gritty win at 42-41. But they were down 10-plus points two times in that game. And, I mean, props to Stetson Bennett, because JT Tuimoloau and that front seven were getting pressure. But he sat there, ate it, and just fed dimes to McConkey and Bowers and Big O, and it was a very good game by both sides.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, you can't really say much else to that. Look, it was even. I mean, all the way down to the time of possession, all the way down to essentially the penalties. They both had 4.
Yeah.
All the way down to the turnover, everything. It was even, neck and neck. And yes, Stetson, I mean, he had the interception, but he still had the 3 touchdowns. And then over, how many yards did he have? Over 300? Over 400?
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, he had a pretty.
Take a look here.
Yeah, check that out. He had a pretty solid game, and the running game did well. I do think we do have to address 398. That's what it says. Okay, yeah, I do think you do. I want to shout him out. I want to give him credit. I always want to talk about him potentially being in that Heisman conversation, and you have to put him in there, because he might not make all the right plays. He might not be the best athletically, but he does everything that needed to be done. After that interception, after falling behind, he pointed to himself and said, "It's me. It was on me." And he came back and he showed up and showed out. So I got to say shout out to him. I also do have to address what you said. We talked about it, that they were going to get embarrassed by their secondary, by the receivers of Ohio State. I shared it on my page, the hit that was helmet to helmet on Marvin Harrison Jr. As you see, we see what happened after that. Obviously, hindsight's 2020. You can't go back there and change that, but I mean, it just makes you wonder. But then it also makes you wonder about you guys if you had Blake Corum. So you can't really live in the what ifs. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day,
go ahead, finish what you were saying.
I was going to say, at the end of the day, they still had a shot to win it with the game-winning field goal, and they missed that. So it's not like that was the deciding factor. You still had to play defense, and you still had to keep it going. I think Ohio State was right on par with them.
Yeah. Well, and like Anthony said here, I just said Ringo because that's the big name in the secondary, but Ringo played very well against Harrison. He really did. it was the rest of the secondary that Harrison ate on, exactly like Anthony says. Stroud threw 23 of 34, 348 yards and 4 touchdowns. So,
right.
I mean, it was clear where the weakness was. And, I mean, huge props to Ohio State's offensive line, too, because that was the big thing was would Carter and them get at Stroud because he crumbles under pressure. Mm-hmm. And Stroud had a pretty clean pocket for big stretches of that game. So,
mm-hmm. And came back late in the game. I mean, that last drive, he was throwing it downfield. I mean, he was getting the job done. Look, he said, Colin was talking about secondary. To be fair, Anthony, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I told you this last year. And then when we went up against Alabama in that big SEC championship game, I said they was going to do it. We all know the Ringo got the interception in that, so everyone wants to jump on him. But he's a top 15 prospect, no doubt about it. But they definitely were. I mean, Harrison maybe have shut. I don't think he was shut down. He still had 2 TDs, still had over 100 yards. But on Ringo,
shut him down. Yeah,
right. But then you have Ibuka, who's sitting here getting 8 receptions for 112 and everything. I mean, they were definitely lighting them up in that ball game. But again, it was one of those situations where, I mean, you got to continue to score. With a team like Georgia, you can never get to the place where you are comfortable. You have to continue to score. So, hey, they won. I don't even want to know if I would say the better team won because they were definitely an even scale, but they got the job done. And sometimes it is better to be a little bit lucky at the end than it is to be, necessarily good.
Now, do you hear what Ryan Day said going into the game?
No.
That it would probably take them 45 points to win the game.
Yep.
And you got 41 and it wasn't enough. So it was pretty damn close.
Well, hey, and shout out to him, man. And I understand this is Big Ten, so you and Kat can't really cheer for the guy. But I mean, I gotta show love because he came into that thing hyped. He was in there on the sidelines, into the game. And I thought, I was like, hold up, buddy. Don't sit here and have a hyperventilate because you're so into it, and then the team goes flat. But he was ready. The team responded to that. They were ready. CJ Stroud looked like a guy that has back-to-back years been in the Heisman contention.
He's my number 1 pick now. He passed Bryce Young.
Oh, yeah. That performance absolutely shows that. And he did it against the best team in the country. Shout out to him. Shout out to him.
And Nathan's comment there, not only is he going to be a first-round pick in 2024, he can't go this year, but Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm calling it now, will be a top 10 pick. He's that good.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. He said the SEC championship game was the outlier last year. Then, secondary wasn't tested a ton. And it weren't tested at all, to be honest with you. I tried to look back at that schedule a year ago, and I'm trying to think. I don't know that there was anybody really that they competed with a year ago outside of the SEC championship with Alabama. I mean, they were head and shoulders above. I mean, that front seven was otherworldly. So we can definitely see why. He said, what? Number 1 pick?
If Houston goes quarterback, it is CJ Stroud at this point, without a doubt.
Nathan came on. Shout out to Nathan Snell, Big Nate Sports Talk, came on the show a week ago and thought the Texans should go defense or something like that.
It's not a bad idea.
Defense a year ago. It's not, but you definitely need, and to your point, Davis Mills, not talking NFL, but Davis Mills, they wanted to see what they got for him. They saw that he wasn't that great, and then they went to like Kyle Allen and some of those other guys. Hey, if you have a CJ Stroud or Bryce Young, you have to make that move. You have to. So there you go.
I mean, I've seen crazy Bears fans saying they should trade Fields and go get whichever one of Young and Stroud is still sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's how good these two are. Right. I mean, at least at the college level. We haven't seen them in the NFL.
Well, exactly. Well, do you agree with this? Alex says he thinks Bryce will go number 1 off Bama and the brand and the hype. Because you can go Ohio State with the brand and the hype as well. Like I mean,
now see, this is it's a weird thing because before this year, it was Bama and Ohio State quarterbacks scared you. Now you've got Justin Fields, who's playing very well, just doesn't have help in Chicago at all.
Yeah.
And then you've got both Tua and Jalen Hurts played very well this year. So, I mean, I don't think the Brandon hype scares people as much anymore. But I don't know. I still think CJ's going to go 1. I do. But they're both phenomenal college quarterbacks. I'll leave it at college quarterbacks, but they're both phenomenal.
Yeah, college. So we'll see how that transitions. I'm gonna say this because Alex, your team did beat us. Quack quack. Oh, daggone Tar Heels. Come on now. Oh, Houston should be built by defense, and they have been doing that. And look, if you get an opportunity to get a Jalen Carter or get a Will Anderson Jr., obviously these are not bad picks. But you definitely don't have an offense court. You don't leader. You don't have a quarterback. You have weapons on the offense, but you don't have a quarterback. You got to get a guy.
I will say the idea of building that defense and waiting for Caleb Williams next year is intriguing.
Very true.
But can you guarantee you're going to have the number 1 pick next year? Because Caleb Williams is going number 1 next year.
Yeah.
So if you can guarantee that you're going to have the number 1 pick, then I say go get a Will Anderson or Jalen Carter and then wait for Caleb Williams next year. But I don't think you can do that.
No.
I think you got to get a quarterback. And the idea of, with those 2 first-round picks, not only can you get Stroud, but you can make him comfortable by pairing him with Jackson Smith and Jigba.
So
that he knows.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think you have to sit there. You could potentially look to the future, but I don't think that Houston wants to go 2-12-1 again or 2-13. No. You know that no team wants to be perennial losers like this. And now you kind of feel like they finally have shaken off Deshaun Watson, maybe, and it's kind of like now they're ready to rebuild. You got to bring some guy in there that can do it. Of course, Alex. Yeah, we did play our butts off, but we didn't.
That was a phenomenal game by both teams.
I loved it. I was into it, but I'm gonna tell you when we got the field goal late and didn't score the touchdown, I was just sitting there like, daggone it, he's gonna win this one.
Yeah. What was your thoughts on that last play? Because in the one group chat, me and Johnny and all those guys had differing opinions.
And at the end of the day,
they were on one side, I was on the other.
Yeah, well, what are your thoughts? Because at the end of the day, we put ourselves in that situation. Because the entire time, even on that last drive, I'm sitting here saying, if we score touchdowns, game, it's not even a conversation. You know what I mean? So I hate to sound like Alec, but as soon as we were only up 6 and we got the field goal, I was like, we're gonna lose the game. Like they're gonna score a touchdown and it's gonna happen that way. But I mean, what were you thinking?
So yeah, we were arguing about the exact last play because I was like, well, obviously the coach knows that you can't kick the field goal from there. He knows the kicker's range, so you absolutely go for the Hail Mary. And they're like, well, you got to try it. I'm like, no, you don't. If you've seen in practice, he can't. Like his career long was 47, and that's a 58-yarder.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a wide range, and obviously you've seen in practice, like when you go into that last drive, the head coach is on the headset with the special teams coordinator saying, what's his range?
Yep.
Where do we feel comfortable with him kicking from? And obviously 58 was not the number.
Yeah.
So you put the ball in Drake May's hands and try and win that game. Now I'd put more receivers over into that pile trying to catch that jump ball, but you put the ball in Drake May's hands there.
Well, hey, and like we've been saying all year, when you go to the dance, you dance with the one who brung you. Look, Drake May was 8-1 at one point, very much in that Heisman conversation. Obviously, we lost 3 out of the last 4 or 2 out of the last 3 or something like that, and we're not able to finish up. But still, like you said, you want to put it in his hands. He's the guy that got you to this place. But again, like we had a great middle part of this game, and then late, it's those field goals where we're not being able to get over the hump. So we put ourselves in that situation. So I look forward to going into that when I didn't want to vent today. I'm trying to be positive. Yo. Oh, hey, real quick. Yeah, Lovey can't afford to lose this season. Yeah. This will make or break his year as a head coach. So the new HC will have to bring in a new QB anyway. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, he's staying. I'm sorry.
Well, and Dante Moore, their 5-star quarterback, decommitted and went to UCLA. So not only did he leave, he went, well, he's not going to be in conference much longer. And I think that was a big reason for going to UCLA, but be playing closer to home a lot more. But sucks for Oregon for sure.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching. If you like that clip, be sure to check out the other great content from the Let's Talk Football community. And as always, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when more great content like this becomes available.